How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL video. And today we're going to be looking at a free hit draft, which you could possibly be looking to kind of work your team around or kind of get some ideas going into game week 36. I do not have any chips left. I've used them all. I used my free hit in game week 34. I used my triple captaincy in this current game week in game week 35, and I'm hoping that Vardy does the business. But I think the best possible chance to get a good free hit off is going to be this upcoming game week in game week 36. That can also be said for the bench boost as well. The bench boost is a little bit harder if you don't have your wild card to kind of set that up. And we're going to be doing a video, kind of the players that we're going to be looking at for that bench boost tomorrow in that video. But without further ado, let's see what free hit draft I've got for you for game week 36. So starting off with the squad value, it's 102.3 million at the time of recording. Some players may have gone slightly up or slightly down depending on the price changes. I haven't checked them in the last day or two. We do have 1.6 million in the bank, so this team is still possible if you have around 103 to 104 million, which is probably pretty standard for most people around this time. Maybe people have slightly less, but you can make downgrades in certain places to get a similar style of team. Into the defense and in goal, we have Nick Pope. We have a non-playing goalkeeper because it is a free hit. We want to maximize the amount of money we could potentially have. And I think Nick Pope will do just fine versus Wolves. That type of game just kind of screams a 0-0, especially if Raul Jimenez misses that game, because in the next week or two or something like that, he's supposed to be with his wife, who's going to be having their newborn child. And obviously with him not in the squad, Traore kind of suffering from a reoccurring shoulder injury, you know, there could be a lot of problems there on offense. And Burnley have obviously shown that they are obviously quite resilient versus even the strongest attacking teams. Against Liverpool today, they held their own. They could have nicked it 2-1 at the end. Nick Pope obviously getting 8 saves in that game, so I think he's a very good asset, and then he's going to be great going forward. So if you have him currently in your team, and this is maybe a bench boost style of team you're looking for, we'll be doing a video, like I said, tomorrow on that, but he could definitely be in your bench boost team, no problem. You would just have to make sure that the goalkeeper is also a playing one. And then obviously his opponent for that week is going to be Doherty and Wolves. We expect him to obviously get a clean sheet there. You can easily have Bali or Saiss, who we have both on the bench as well, if you want to upgrade some other positions, which we'll mention more along the lines of the midfield. I think he's just a great pick there. He may get an attack in return. Yes, it is against Pope, but ideally we would want just a 0-0, double clean sheet, happy days there. Then we have Luca Digne as well. He's going to be providing assists from deep, assists from corners, assists from free kicks, goals from free kicks, everything of the sort. He just seems, you know, super valuable in this game. Aston Villa don't score very many goals. They are fairly good defensively, and Everton they've kind of dropped off a little bit, but I still think they're more than capable enough of beating Aston Villa, especially at home. And I think Digne is a very good value pick in that regard. And then lastly, the most skeptical one that I have on this list is Azpilicueta. Now, the reason I picked him over all the other defenders is mainly because he isn't going to get subbed off because he's the captain. He plays left back or he plays in a back three, and I think his deep crosses is what Chelsea kind of missed when they played Sheffield United today and lost 3-0. Just kind of that deep line cross to kind of go into Giroud, who can knock it down for the likes of a Pulisic running on or a Willian running on, and they kind of didn't really show much of that today at all. I think against Norwich they should have no problem keeping a clean sheet. If West Ham can score 4 and not concede any to Norwich with no problem, I think Chelsea should, if they're going to be going for top 4 aspirations, then they should be able to obviously keep a clean sheet there. And in defense on the bench, like I said, we have Bali and Saiss, who both play for Wolves. These could be any cheaper defenders. I just kind of went with the bench because it's money's kind of a luxury in this team in a sense. If you have 104 million, in total squad value, you can basically get pretty much any players you want for the most part. You just need more midfield slots, basically, which is, I wish they would do it, make a chip like that. That'd be pretty cool, where you can exchange like one defender slot for a midfield slot that week, or that'd be kind of cool. But for now, this is probably more than enough squad value to keep this sort of back line as well as the midfield and forwards that we're about to show. Now this midfield is obviously 5 across in the midfield. We're maxing out on midfielders there, as we believe that there's the most value there. It just makes the most sense. You're kind of spoiled for choices here, and I think we've gone with a pretty balanced one. Now, I mentioned previously that you could potentially downgrade the likes of Doherty to maybe a non-playing defender, and you can put in the likes of Saiss or Bali, and that means you can take the money to upgrade with the money in the bank that we have to upgrade Mahrez to Sterling, who just scored a hat-trick in their 5-0 win over Brighton. Even though Mars and Sterling both got 90 minutes, I feel that you can't really bench someone for getting a hat trick. It just kind of seems a bit cruel. But it's just one of those things where it's pep rotation, anything's possible. KDB came off early, so he's going to be in there versus Bournemouth. He's going to have the captain's armband as well. But for now, we just have KDB and Mars kind of in that draft. But those could be any of City's two midfielders, in my opinion. I think that they're good value there. If that's KDB and Sterling, KDB and Mars, just two of those three, probably KDB plus one is arguably what you're going to go for. And then we're going to have the Everton double up here with Richarlison. He has Aston Villa at home. He obviously scored in the 1-1 draw versus Southampton. I think he seems to be more prevalent than Calvert-Lewin in terms of attacking. It would be also interesting to see how they kind of position him next season. He may be a forward next season, which is something we kind of have to, kind of in the back of our minds as well. But for now, he's an 8.2 million midfielder at the time of recording, and I think that he's going to be great value there, and it's definitely a better asset for the extra bit of money, which we have a plethora of with the squad value that we would have here. And, going into this game, I think he's going to be the one to potentially get, assists, goals. And Aston Villa are just kind of weak defensively, just in general. They picked it up a little bit, but set pieces have been a thing that kind of been crushing them. And Richarlison is very good at doing that. Also, they typically don't like somebody running at the defense. They kind of freeze up when that happens. The classic example is obviously Mason Greenwood in the 3-0 win that United had over Aston Villa. He was kind of running at their back line, and Tyrone Mings kind of just stood there. And then Pepe Reina got very upset when Greenwood, just blasted it straight past Mings and straight into the back of the net. So Richarlison is very good at doing that. He's very direct, which is something that I like about him as an asset. And then obviously, speaking of United, we have Bruno Fernandes in there. He's just going to be a mainstay. He should be in everyone's team. He has over 100% ownership, effective ownership in the top 10K. So he's going to be someone that you're going to keep in there. And unfortunately, we have Mason Greenwood, who'd be the other United asset on the bench. The midfield is kind of stacked here. I kind of wanted to fit Greenwood in there. If I could, I would. But he's definitely first sub on the bench for that. And then we have lastly in the midfield we have Christian Pulisic, who's going to be our vice captain. He's at Norwich at home. He looked very direct in the game versus Sheffield United and the previous games as well. However, he did get hooked off early, so I don't know if that's a precautionary measure, whether he's injured or he just was tired. I'm not sure, because they've kind of been running out game in, game out. He's been doing kind of all the work for the team, pretty much. Him and Willian have been kind of just doing that. When Giroud's in the team, he helps out quite a bit. When Tammy's in the team, not so much. So I think he could also be like a very good captaincy option this week. And then after that, Chelsea, obviously they play Liverpool, and then they play Wolves to end the season. So after this, Pulisic probably isn't that good of a captaincy option. But I think on a free hit, it's definitely worth going for. He does have Norwich. It just makes the most sense for me in the midfield. And lastly, we have the two forwards to round out the 3-5-2 formation. We obviously have Jesus in there being our third City asset. He has Bournemouth at home. It seems like he's going to get 60 minutes or thereabouts and then get taken off pretty much every game. Unfortunately, Pep has no out-and-out striker, so he has to kind of kind of put somebody in there in the likes of Sterling or Bernardo Silva or somebody like that to play that role. But I think Jesus is definitely viable for the captaincy this week as well. I just put it on KDB and Pulisic because I know they're going to start most likely. Jesus is somewhat of a rotation risk, but I think that Kevin De Bruyne plus two of either Jesus, Riyad Mahrez, and Sterling, and there's also kind of a shout for Foden as well, should be the three City players you kind of should be looking in your team, or have three of those players. The reason I say there's a shout for Phil Foden is because he didn't start in this game, and he's most likely to start in the game versus Bournemouth, and then maybe be rested for the FA Cup game, and then start in the game versus Watford. And then we also have Danny Ings here. He's going for the golden boot as well. He's going up against a Brighton team that just, looked very tired, conceded 5 goals to City, and then immediately after that, he's also got Bournemouth as well. So I think he's going to be a great pick here. He's probably going to get over 20 goals this season. He's not even on penalties, and James Ward-Prowse missed the last penalty, so he could be next in line if they do get one. They don't get many. I believe they're actually the lowest in the league, Southampton, for penalties received. And I just think he's just going to be a great pick overall. He just always seems to be right place, right time. And he's just a BPS magnet. He gets his one chance, he scores it, gets goal, 3 bonus points, 9 points. What more can you ask for from a striker? And if you're feeling a bit maverick, you could potentially go with the captaincy on him. I think it's much safer to go with the City asset that we kind of know is going to play, like Kevin De Bruyne, or maybe Sterling. You could probably put it on again because he just scored a hat trick, and rotating him would be a bit harsh, as we mentioned. But yeah, I think that's probably the best team to kind of go with. If you were going for a 3-4-3 and you wanted to play the likes of Mason Greenwood or potentially another striker, maybe you fancy Jamie Vardy for another week, or maybe you want to go, you think Olivier Giroud's going to start, you would potentially drop the likes of Richarlison, because I think that the City asset is just too important to have. I think Bruno Fernandes is on fire, and I think anyone playing Norwich or Bournemouth are just going to score a lot of goals. So I think he would be the first person I would think would be on the chopping block, and then you would allocate those resources maybe into, like I said, the likes of, the forward that you'd be bringing in if it was more expensive than Greenwood, if you're bringing in like a Vardy, or you're bringing in somebody else as a one-off for that week, and you could allocate the rest of the money into Mars upgrading to Sterling, or whoever you so choose for that, type of player that you're kind of looking for. But overall, I think this is a very balanced team. I think it's relatively cheap for the teams that I could have built. The bench has a lot of players that are going to see minutes, apart from obviously the goalkeeper. And yeah, that's my draft for Game Week 36. And that's going to do it for this FPL video. Hope you enjoyed the free hit draft for Game Week 36. Make sure to leave a comment down below as to what you're looking for in your free hit teams, whether you're looking at the Chelsea assets, or they've kind of put you off completely because Sheffield United demolished them, or maybe you're second guessing some of the City assets. Maybe you do want Foden because he was rested and only came in as a substitute appearance, or that sort of thing. Maybe you're kind of worried that Kevin De Bruyne came off early. Who knows? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new, and make sure to turn those notification bells on if you want to see the content early as possible when we release it on YouTube. Also, give us a follow over on Twitter and Twitch. It's PilotFlame226 on both of those platforms. That is where we post our YouTube videos, as well as post just our Game Week predictions, as well as when we go live over on Twitch for our Game Week discussions. I will also be doing a bench boost video tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. That's going to have a team sheet as well, but it's going to be more of like the type of players that you're kind of looking for in the bench boost in terms of fixtures. In my opinion, kind of short and sweet for like kind of a preview of it. More or less, just basically just keep it simple, really. Just when your players on your bench have a decent fixture and they're probably going to see some type of minutes, just use it. It's obviously better if you have a wild card into a bench boost, and that probably sets it up a lot better. But it's just something you don't want to overthink, because you definitely don't want to be going into the last game week with a free hit and a bench boost, or you're going to waste a chip, or the team sheets could be a bit crazy. Like the last game of the season, City might not even play most of their starters because they know they have Champions League coming up or that sort of thing. So you can't really rely on that. So I'd say play it sooner rather than later. But yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, take care.